We talked about this not too long ago about the Auckland Council considering stopping off licences and supermarkets from selling alcohol after 9 p.m. They even had a date from the 9th of December. The new rules, they also looked at no liquor stores opening within 200 metres of a town centre in 23 suburbs with the highest alcohol-related harm. Well, the council voted unanimously to move ahead with the changes. Maunga Keke Tamaki Ward councillor Josephine Bartley had been pushing for the new rules and said alcohol-related harm was rife in the community. She says she used to do the community patrols, and that would be between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m, and should see a lot of fighting and drunk people. Now, I said at the time, what of the communities that have no issues, or of the many businesses that will now have hours taken off them where they can no longer trade? Why? Because of a few bad apples? And no surprise, some liquor stores are coming out now saying that they could lose up to 40% of their business under these new closing rules. History has shown us when people try to block, control or stop access to something that most of us enjoy, unintended consequences shoot up all over the place. Join me now is Virginia Nicholls, Executive Director of Alcohol and Beverages Council. Virginia, good afternoon.
Yeah, good evening, Leah. How are you?
I'm good. I feel for these businesses because and what do you make of this decision by the Auckland Council?
Well, first up, I think the council's not considering something that's really important. We are drinking in a different way, and I'm talking going across the New Zealand population. Really, we're drinking more than 25% less than we did in the late 1970s. In the last year alone, our consumption's declined by 7%. That's just come out this week from Stats NZ. The Health NZ data tells us that 84% of us drink in a really responsible way. That's gone up in the last year by about 3%, and 16% of us are drinking less, which is actually too high. It's coming down, and we do need to do some work around that. But that's actually a decline of 110,000 less people drinking hazardously. But to be fair, we understand that there are a number of issues that the council wants to address, and antisocial behaviour is one of those, and we get that. But from what we've seen, there is absolutely no evidence put forward that we're going to get reducing alcohol harm by the different things that the council has put in their LAP and will come in shortly.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I want to get to that about the harm. But my issue is that all the businesses were the businesses consulted. Well, no, I would say, and it feels like instead of maybe having police involved to clean up the streets in certain areas, it's easier just to shut the shops down earlier.
Look, it's very interesting, this whole thing about 9 p.m, right? The magic time of 9 p.m, right? I guess the whole question is, will these restrictions, if you like, on hours reduce harmful drinking? Because that's what it's all about. And there is no evidence at all that says that closing an off licence at 9 p.m. is going to reduce harmful drinking. It's just going to replace a lot more restriction on retailers who are doing their best. It is tough out there. It's tough economic times. And actually, anecdotally, I know that you've spoken to some people and they are obviously selling a lot, but anecdotally, across the greater area, there's actually not a lot of beer, wine and spirits that actually sold after 9 p.m, but I realise there will be in some areas. But I also feel for consumers as well, because, for instance, if you're a shift worker, you're going to face more challenges about picking up your beer, wine and spirit on the way home. I guess you're going to have to do it at, the start of the day. But I think what it does is it inconveniences the responsible drinker. And I think really sadly the hazardous drinkers sadly will still find alcohol somewhere, really.
Yeah.
So
and you are right. Someone could say, oh, well, gosh, guys, you can, plan ahead, buy your wine or beer during the day. Let's not panic. And okay, I understand that. I agree. But to me, it's losing those extra 2 hours of business every night. And one owner has said that that's equivalent to 14 hours of paid work for staff each week. So again, it's a broad stroke that affects people's livelihoods that are legally doing their job. And why should they have to justify why they're selling beer or wine at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday? That's the overreaching that I feel businesses. And it's so quick. It's kicking in December. If you're going to change people's livelihoods and losing 14 hours of paid work for staff each week, I would have thought at least at the minimum it would be like a year to come in.
Yeah, I think what people don't realise either is just how highly regulated this area is already, really, with the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act. And again, retailers really don't believe that the additional measures, they're well-founded or well-evidenced. But we are concerned about further restrictions to a really tight licensing regime. But I think there's one thing they don't get. The council, I think, has totally missed. This is not a numbers game of how many retailers there are in an area. It's about the quality of the operator running the retail operation. He's got good policies, good team around them, understands the needs of the community and works with the community as well when there are issues. So I think that's an area that they've totally missed. They're saying, numbers are going to create hazardous drinking, and actually I don't think that's the case. Can I talk about, there's been a study done earlier this year on wastewater analysis, and it actually analysed for the first time how much alcohol, if you like, is in our wastewater. Right. And it was done by the University of Auckland. It was a trial done about 2 years before that, and they estimated how much alcohol consumption. They looked at about 40% in New Zealand, so it's just some pretty good numbers. And they found that we were drinking about 1.2 standard drinks a day for people 15 and over, but which counts up to 8.4 standard drinks a week. So Health New Zealand's sort of low-risk alcohol drinking advice for women, no more than 10 standard drinks a week, men no more than 15 standard drinks a week, so obviously those are good low numbers. The person, or the area, if you like, in New Zealand that drank the least of any place studied, guess what, is South Auckland is. So this was the Manukau DHB. I know, very interesting, isn't it?
What?
And sometimes I think, and I wonder, that perception sometimes that we have, and I've seen it here, I live in Dunedin here, I've seen it here as well, a perception of an area that is going to have issues because they are so-called deprived. I don't think we always get that right. And in this case, I mean, this was the first time that the university has done this, so one could say, well, we need to do this again before we really feel comfortable with these figures. But they're pretty used to doing this sort of analysis in other areas as well. That is interesting. It's fascinating. And so, and the highest drinking area was the Gisborne area. So, and to be fair, where we had events and things, I know Queenstown had events and things on, and therefore they were higher. That doesn't surprise any of us either. No. You're going to have a big events, it is what it is. Yeah.